Heartwarming reunion. Soldier discovers incredible courage as his daughter, 6, and dog shield beyond compare. Jack stepped off the bus, his heart pounding with the anticipation of home. The streets of his small Midwestern town were alive with a buzzing warmth that seemed to sing his name. He could almost hear his daughter, Lily, giggling, her laughter bright enough to light up the gloomiest corners of the world. But as he walked toward his old little house, the familiar sight suddenly felt heavy with an unexpected weight. The door creaked open, and there she was, his wife, Sarah. Her eyes glinted with unshed tears, but even through the sparkle of joy, Jack noticed the worry etched across her face. "Lily, where's Lily?" His heart sank when Sarah's smile faltered. "She's in her room," came the soft reply. The excitement tangled in Jack's chest. He rushed up the narrow staircase, yearning to wrap his arms around his little girl, but as he neared her door, dread settled in. Lily was tucked away in a world of her own, her toys untouched, her room eerily silent. Jack knocked gently, but her response was a muffled whimper, retreating even further into her fortress of solitude. It broke him. The joyous reunion he'd dreamt of felt shattered, replaced by the ghost of abandonment. Lily, once the brightest spark, seemed extinguished. Days passed, and a scruffy little dog named Max became Lily's only companion. The rescued dog lay solemnly by her side, his deep brown eyes reflecting a fierce loyalty. Jack could see it, this furry guardian absorbing Lily's sorrow like a sponge. The bond between them was beautiful but heartbreaking. "Hey, can I sit with you?" Jack asked one afternoon, an attempt to make a connection. But as he entered, Lily turned sharply, her small face twisting in confusion, anger, and sadness, all wrapped up like a painful present. He tried to find her heart beneath the layers of hurt, but every word he spoke only seemed to deepen the chasm between them. It felt a lot like the battles he had waged in distant lands, each effort met with resistance. As if fate was mocking him further, the town was spiraling downwards. Shops around the square were closing up, and whispers tainted the air. Jack's absence had drained life from the community. One local businessman had begun calling him out, shaking his fists, blaming soldiers like Jack for leaving the town's spirit in shambles. Rage ignited in him, but Jack felt torn. The pride in his service clashed with the growing resentment from friends turned foes. Weeks passed. Jack's frustration boiled over after a failed attempt to reach Lily. He couldn't let despair overrun their relationship. A community event was announced, a last-ditch effort to rekindle the town's spark. Jack volunteered, hoping to bridge the gap. But in the midst of it, a crisis struck. Max, with extraordinary bravery, jumped in to protect Lily when an unexpected danger unfolded. The entire crowd gasped. Jack's heart raced as he watched Max shield Lily, deep-rooted instincts igniting hope within the despair. Jack knew this moment would change everything. The tension snapped like a taut string, leading Jack to stand and defend his choices before an audience of townsfolk, voices rising like the tide. "I served so you could all have your peace. I'm right here. I'm trying." Yet, as the murmur of the crowd softened, he turned to find Lily's eyes on him, conflicted and scared. Before they could break through those walls between them, the silence hung heavy, echoing fear of the unknown. Would they ever be whole again? Would their town heal? Jack stood frozen, the world around him fading into a blur. All he could see were Lily's big, round eyes staring back at him, full of questions he didn't have the answers to. He felt the weight of the townsfolk's gaze upon him, their whispers swirling like a storm, hungry for a resolution they couldn't find within themselves. He took a step forward, heart pounding in his chest. "Lily," he said softly, words pouring out like a lifeline. "I'm your dad. I'm home. Please, just talk to me." Her expression shifted, the anger melting away to reveal a flicker of uncertainty. Jack could sense the shift, but with it came a breathless silence that felt suffocating. The crowd hushed, curiosity hanging heavily in the air. "Why did you leave?" She finally managed, her voice barely a whisper but cutting through the tension like glass. Jack's heart sank. It was the question he had feared the most, yet it was the one he knew he needed to answer. He hesitated, looking for the right words. How could he explain the decisions that led him away from her? I had to go. I wanted to protect you and Mom. But I missed you both every single day. Lily glanced at Max, who thumped his tail on the ground, as if encouraging her to believe him. But the young girl was processing too much at once. You just left. The sadness returned, mixing with the anger and creating a storm in her tiny heart. Jack felt like he was losing her again, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. I know it's hard to understand, but I would have done anything to be here. A shout from the crowd interrupted him. We need to talk, Jack. A familiar face emerged. Tim, one of his childhood friends, turned an adversary in his absence. You think this is about you? We've been struggling too. Tim, it's not just about me. Jack shouted back, desperation clawing at him. It's about us. I'm back. We can fix this. But chaos erupted. Arguments flared among the townspeople, their frustrations spilling over. Jack squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, trying to shake off the feeling of drowning in unresolved conflict. Guys! He yelled, raising his hands to calm the crowd, please, let us talk this through. I'm just trying to be a father again. He turned back to Lily, hoping to find some grounding in her eyes. I'll prove it to you. At that moment, something changed. As the crowd began to simmer down, Lily reached for Max and squeezed him tightly. Jack realized that the bond between them wasn't entirely broken. If Max could show bravery, maybe they could, too. Lily spoke again, her voice trembling, what if you leave again? Jack crouched down, leveling with her. I won, honey. I promise. I'm here for you. We can heal together. A few sniffles broke through the remnants of rage in the crowd. Hope began to bloom, fragile yet resilient. And then someone from the back piped up, maybe we can all heal together. A murmur of agreement spread through the townsfolk, a subtle acknowledgement that change could start with understanding. Underneath it all, Jack felt a fragile thread weaving through the tension, something that felt like unity. But as he tried to reach for it, he still felt the fear lurking. Would the town forgive him? Would Lily ever trust him completely again? He took a deep breath, heart racing. The struggle of bridging that gap between father and daughter, man and community, pressed heavily on him. It was just the beginning of a long road, and he knew they'd have to take it step by step. What was he willing to sacrifice to mend what had been broken? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, he knew the hardest parts were yet to come. Would tonight be a turning point or just another step in a long journey? The clock was ticking, and time was key in finding out. The night settled softly over the town, the last light waning as if giving Jack and Lily a moment to breathe. He could see the flickering street lights reflecting the tension in the air, but among the crowd, there was an air of hope beginning to replace the anger. Jack felt it, a small, flickering flame, but it was there. Lily shifted, drawing Max closer. The dog licked her cheek, as if sensing her turmoil and wanting to mend the pieces of her heart. Jack's heart ached at the sight. He noticed how small her frame was beside the giant of a dog. A warmth pooled in him, a surge of determination. He had to protect this little girl and nurture her trust. Lily, he said, pain glaring in his voice, I know I have to earn your trust back. I swear to make it right. I want to know everything about you, your life. Do you even know me? She shot back, her eyes suddenly flaring with more fire. You missed everything. My first school play. My birthday, you weren't there. Each word struck Jack like a stone. He felt the weight of his absence. The empty chair at celebrations, the quiet nights that stretched long without the sound of laughter. You're right, he replied, swallowing hard. And I will never make excuses for it. I let you down. But I want to be part of your life now. I want to learn who you are. The crowd remained silent, watching this moment unfold. Jack tried to look around at the townsfolk gathering closer, the ones whose whispers he'd overheard during his years away. Their eyes were wary but softened as they listened. Tim stood nearby, arms crossed, his brow still furrowed, but the tension in his face was easing. Jack moved towards him, searching for common ground. Tim, I get it. I left when everyone needed me. You all had to shoulder so much. But I'm back, and I'll work to earn my place again in this town, and in your hearts. Tim uncrossed his arms, glancing from Jack to the crowd. Actions, Jack. You need to prove you're not just here for yourself. We've needed more than empty words. Lily's grip on Max tightened as if she feared losing everything again. Can you really promise you won't go away? She whispered, her voice small yet fierce. I can't promise I won't ever make mistakes, Jack said, crouching again to her level, his hands on his knees, but I will promise that I will fight for you every day. I want to learn to be the dad you deserve. The energy shifted again, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Hope was a fragile thing, yet it began to flicker in every heart present. Jack could see their skepticism give way to patterns of cautious optimism. Lily took a breath, considering, before her gaze flickered down to Max and then back to Jack. If you really mean it, then play with me. Show me. Jack blinked, surprised. Play? Yeah. Her face brightened, a spark of joy illuminating the fear momentarily. Let us have fun. Like you used to. Can we? Laughter and cheers erupted from the crowd, unsure yet supportive, as Jack felt the thawing in the air. All right, he said, determination coloring his voice. What do you want to play? Tag. But you have to catch me and Max. Lily's laughter rang out, infectious and pure, a bright beacon against the remaining shadows. And with the world narrowing down to just her and that joyful scream, Jack felt a fresh wave of hope wash over him. Unity was within reach, but he'd need to fight for each moment. As they began their little game, laughter blooming in the stillness of the night, an uninvited tension still simmered beneath the surface. Could he truly prove to the town he was more than his past? With every chase around the park, Jack couldn't shake the gnawing fear of the realities yet ahead. Would the next day bring obstacles he wasn't ready for? Whatever tomorrow brought, one truth echoed in his heart: tonight had reignited a spark, but would it last? Jack lunged forward, a grin stretching across his face as he chased after Lily and Max. The way she dashed through the grass, laughter spilling from her lips like music, fueled him. He felt lighter, almost as if the weight of his past was lifting, blown away by the wind in the park. Each time Lily turned to glance back at him, her eyes shone with mischief, a light that made him believe he could chase after not just her, but a brighter future too. Can't catch me. She squealed, darting behind a tree. Max, ever the loyal companion, barked, encouraging Jack to hurry. The park came to life with their frolicking spirit, the laughter echoing around the crowd, breaking down walls that had long been built. Just a little longer, Jack thought, wanting to savor this moment. When he reached the tree, he pretended to pant heavily, dramatically leaning against it. Wow, you're too quick for me. Not yet, Lily called, sticking her tongue out. You have to try harder. The townsfolk began to ripple with laughter, their smiles softening the distance once so apparent. Jack could feel the change, it was palpable. For every laugh, he sensed their doubts falling away. But despite the joy, a small voice in his head warned him that this was just one night. Tomorrow would come with its own challenges. Tim stepped closer to watch, arms no longer crossed, a reluctant grin creeping onto his face. Jack caught his eye, and they shared a moment of understanding. It wasn't just Jack's path he was trying to prove, but an entire community's healing. Lily peeked around the tree, eyes sparkling like stars against the dimming light. "Okay, now you have to hide, and I'll count." "Count to what?" Jack questioned, still pretending to catch his breath, but already following her lead. 20. She shouted, a bit of childish excitement spilling over into her decision, and turned her back to start counting. As she began, Jack felt the tender grip of nostalgia and the sting of regret wash over him. This should have been the routine they established ages ago, and yet he had been absent, swallowing the years he could have spent with her. A sense of loss flooded his chest. Time had marched on, but here he was, crafting new memories while shadows of old mistakes lurked just outside his periphery. In the stillness of the moment, he quickly ducked behind a nearby bench, peeking out to catch a glimpse of her. With her counting, she seemed carefree, a child lost in a game. Watching her, he couldn't help but let out a small laugh, a burst of hope warming him from the inside. "At 17, she added, "no cheating." To a chorus of giggles, and Jack knew this was a reminder that he could only win her trust if he stayed honest and present. "Found you," she squealed, once she reached 20. Her excitement brought a rush of love into his heart, and he waved wildly like he was indeed stuck behind the bench. The crowd shared in their game, their hearts uplifted by Lily's laughter, but as Jack darted out from his hiding spot, he realized the giggling nerves in his stomach. What came next? Can I really pull this off? He wondered, hoping the laughter wouldn't mask the heavy truth that tomorrow, he would have to face more than just a game of tag. His heart raced as she bounded toward him, arms open wide. He scooped her up in a playful swoop, reminding himself just how precious this moment was. But even as he spun her around, the shadows of his past curled around him like vines, whispering doubts into his ear. As the night continued, Jack felt a gentle trickle of hope. He had won one evening. Just one free-spirited chase through the park, yet the morning would bring harsh realities, and the biggest test would come from within. Tomorrow dawned with uncertainty, yet one thought echoed clearly in his mind: what if he let go of the past? But before he could entertain that idea further, he noticed a figure standing a few paces away, watching them with narrowed eyes. It was a face he hadn't wanted to see. Would this be yet another challenge to overcome? Jack's heart sank as he recognized the figure looming in the shadows. It was Rachel, his ex-wife. Her expression was a mix of disbelief and unresolved anger, and in that moment, the laughter around him faded into a dull echo. The joy that had enveloped the park felt like a fragile bubble, ready to burst. Uncertainty crept back into his mind, muddying the vibrant colors of the evening. "Dad! Look at me!" Lily shouted, oblivious to the tension brewing nearby, her voice pulling him back to the present. She was gripping Max's collar tight, her laughter ringing like a bell in the cool air. The dog wagged his tail, eager for more playtime, but Jack's focus was elsewhere. "Lily, stay close to me," he called, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. He instinctively moved closer to his daughter, shielding her with his body. The protective instinct surged again, stronger than ever. He needed to show her that he was here for her, that he was trying. Rachel stepped forward, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "You think this is a game?" she asked, raising her voice just enough to grab the attention of nearby families. The laughter had transformed into hushed whispers, and Jack's pulse quickened. "No, it's," he started, but he couldn't find the words. What could he say? It was all so complicated. She cut him off. "You show up out of nowhere, playing the hero. Do you think one night will erase the years you were absent? Do you think it's that simple?" Her words hit hard, like stones tossed at a window. He felt exposed, raw. This was not what he wanted. He was not here to hurt anyone. "Mom, why are you yelling?" Lily piped up, her voice quivering just slightly, confusion painting her little face. Rachel turned her gaze down to their daughter, softening for a brief moment. I'm just upset that your dad hasn't been around, sweetheart." Jack felt anger flare up inside of him, but he fought to keep his tone calm. "I'm trying, Rachel. I'm here now. Can we focus on the moment?" Lily glanced from her mom to Jack, sensing the tension. "Let us just play," she urged, bouncing on the balls of her feet, a flicker of hope still alive in her big eyes. Max barked, his tail wagging furiously, seemingly oblivious to the emotional chaos surrounding them. Jack smiled at his daughter, wanting to wrap her in comfort, to shield her from the growing rift between him and Rachel. "Jack, you don't get to sweep this under the rug," Rachel said, her voice sharper. "We need to talk about what happens next. You can't just show up and pretend everything is fine." Jack felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. "I want to talk, but can we do it somewhere private? Not here, not with Lily watching." Rachel hesitated, her breath mingling with the cool evening air. The crowd around them had temporarily forgotten their game, eyes darting to Jack and Rachel, waiting for the next chapter of this drama to unfold. "Fine," she finally replied, her voice lowering but still strained. "Let us go." He nodded slowly, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he took a deep breath. This was it. The moment he had been dreading, yet desperately needed. With Lily and Max still buzzing around, it seemed surreal. The looming confrontation pulled reality into sharp focus. As they drifted away from the laughter and light of the park, Jack glanced back at Lily. Her small figure standing there felt like a tether pulling him. The path ahead might be treacherous, but he was determined to face it. For her. Tomorrow may bring its own challenges, he thought again, but tonight, I'll do it for her. Just before stepping out of the park, he caught sight of a flicker of movement in the distance. Another familiar face, one he wasn't sure he was ready to see. What did this mean? Would it add fuel to the fire? Would they come to understand him, or would the evening unravel before his eyes? The tension between Jack and Rachel hung in the air like a storm cloud. Every step away from the park felt heavy. Jack led the way, trying to keep his emotions at bay, but his heart raced with apprehension. He didn't want to confront Rachel, not here and not now. But there was no escaping it. They walked toward a secluded bench under a large oak tree, the shadows growing long as dusk deepened. The play of light and shadow mirrored the conflict swirling inside him. The laughter from the park faded further, and all he could hear was the soft crunch of leaves beneath their feet. "Why did you really come back?" Rachel's voice cut through the quiet, sharper than he expected. She was direct, and he could see the anger sparking in her eyes. "I came to see Lily," he admitted, swallowing hard. "I want to be part of her life again." "Part of her life?" Rachel echoed, disbelief etched across her face. "You think showing up a few times will change the years of neglect? Do you even understand what she has been through?" Jack's heart ached as he recalled the moments spent away. The missed birthdays. The sleepy-eyed morning pancakes they never had. "I know I messed up. No excuses can fix that. But I'm here now. I want to change that." "Words mean nothing, Jack." She fired back, her voice a mixture of frustration and sadness. The words dug deeper than he anticipated. He rubbed the back of his neck, feeling the sweat form beneath his collar. "What do you want from me?" Rachel drew in a shaky breath. "I want you to understand the impact you've had on her. Lily adores you, and then you just leave. It breaks her every time." "Believe me, I know," Jack replied quietly, feeling the sting of shame wash over him. "I hate that I hurt both of you." The gravity of the moment settled between them, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. Jack stole a glance back toward the park, watching as Lily wrestled with Max's heart, fighting against the swell of regrets that rose within him. "She doesn't need your regrets, Jack. She needs a father," Rachel continued, her voice breaking. "Someone who won't abandon her again. I promise I won't. I want to be there for her. I'm willing to fight for her," Jack declared, his voice rising with a sudden conviction. Rachel's expression shifted. It's not just about making promises. It's about showing up. Proving that you're in this for the long haul. I understand. I will. Jack hesitated, searching for the right words. I will do whatever it takes. Rachel studied him, gauging the sincerity in his eyes. Her expression softened just slightly, but the tension was still thick. This is going to take time, Jack. Trust doesn't come back overnight. I get it, he replied, his resolve hardening. I'll take the time. If that's what it takes to prove I'm here to stay. Before Rachel could respond, the sudden movement in the shadows caught his eye again, and he turned sharply. Another figure stepped forward, its features becoming clearer in the twilight. Jack's breath caught in his throat. He recognized this person, and anxiety flared inside him. Why now? He thought, dread washing over him as he faced this unexpected ghost from his past. The looming confrontation was about to escalate, bringing with it new complications he hadn't foreseen. Jack, who is that? Rachel's voice trembled, pulling him back to reality. The night felt like it was closing in, and Jack realized he might not be ready for what was about to unfold. He only hoped this unexpected visitor didn't change everything for the worse. What could possibly come next? Jack's heart pounded like a drum, the weight of recognition hitting him harder than anything he had felt in years. The figure stepped closer, illuminated by the soft glow of the remaining daylight. It was Daniel, Jack's old friend from high school. They had shared dreams and fears, but things had unraveled when Jack chose to leave town, leaving behind not just friendships but a part of himself. Jack? Daniel's voice was cautious, laced with both familiarity and surprise. What are you doing here? Jack managed to choke out, caught off guard. The years had changed them both, but the spark of their past was still present. The last thing he expected was a figure from his older life showing up now, in the midst of this painful confrontation with Rachel. Rachel shifted her weight, her confusion evident. You know him? Jack swallowed hard, painfully aware of Rachel's narrowed gaze. Yeah, we grew up together. Daniel stepped closer, hesitating, unsure of the right words. I heard about everything. Your return. I figured it was time to find you. Jack felt a rush of mixed emotions, the familiar tug of friendship clashing with current turmoil. Time for what? You think this is a good moment? Daniel's eyes darted from Jack to Rachel, sensing the tension, the stakes at play. I came to talk, to see how you've been. I didn't know you had. Jack shook his head, interrupting. I don't have time for this right now. Desire to reconnect warred with his urgent need to focus on Rachel and Lily. Wait. Rachel's voice pierced through them, turning to Daniel then back to Jack, her frustration boiling over. If you're back for Lily, how can you just drop her for someone from your past? You're not ready. It's not like that, Jack snapped, feeling the full extent of his frustration bubble to the surface. I need to know why you left, Jack. Daniel stepped forward, genuine concern in his voice. We were family, and it hurt when you vanished. Have you thought about what Lily needs? He didn't want to think about it, he couldn't. But Lily's face flashed through his mind, her smile, her laughter, the way she looked at him with such hope. I'm trying to change all of that, Jack replied, uncertainty creeping into his tone. But I can't just ignore the past. Rachel stepped closer, her gaze now steely and unwavering. You're right, she said coldly. You can't. But if you're going to be a father, you need to figure out who you are first. This isn't a game, Jack. Jack felt cornered, emotions swirled, tightening around him like a noose. I'm not running this time. He felt a flash of defiance, a sense of clarity in mission. I'll fight for her. I'll do it right. Prove it, Rachel retorted, her voice sharp but her eyes searching his face for something, for reassurance. It starts now, not later. Daniel watched the exchange intently, caught in the web of raw, unfolding emotions. I came back to tell you that the fight is worth it, Jack. But you need to commit. You can't dip a toe. You have to dive in. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the pressure of everything around him, of the familiar past, the pain of the present, and the uncertainty of the future. He faced Rachel and Daniel, and a storm of resolve surged within him. I will commit. If that means facing my past, facing you, he nodded at Daniel, then so be it. As the last light of day faded into night, he felt the heaviness of the moment settle. He had taken a step, wanting to believe this would lead him closer to Lily, closer to proving he could be the father she needed. But the lingering doubt remained. Just remember, Jack, Rachel said softly, time is not on your side. With those words echoed in his heart, Jack turned to face whatever this challenging road had in store, the unending echoes of the past looming in the background. But a deeper question stirred within, one that felt almost impossible to voice. Would facing the past allow him to build a future for himself, and for Lily? And as he pondered this, he could sense another shadow approaching, one that could shatter everything anew. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, glancing between Jack and Rachel, sensing the intensity of their exchange. The night air felt thick, charged with unsaid words and raw emotions. Jack balanced on the edge of making a decision that could reshape his life, but his heart felt like it was in freefall. Maybe we should talk somewhere else? Daniel suggested, his voice breaking the tension. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to find you, Jack. This can't wait. Rachel crossed her arms. What do you expect? You just show up and think you can pull him away from the chaos he created? Jack shot her a pleading glance, a silent request for restraint. He understood her frustration, but it stung. I need to hear what he has to say, Jack responded, his voice firm but carrying the weight of uncertainty. Daniel nodded, grateful for Jack's willingness to engage. Listen, just a few minutes. I think it's important, especially with everything you're going through. Rachel took a step back, her face softening just a fraction. Fine. But Jack, don't get lost. Don't lose sight of what matters. Jack felt her words hit him like a wave. She was right, he was in the thick of it, tangled in a web of his own making. But he had to know what Daniel wanted. There was a flicker of something unspoken between the three of them, a connection he couldn't shake. Let us go to the diner, Jack suggested, the familiar place back when they were kids buzzing with memories. We can talk there. As they walked through the street, the neon lights humming to life, Jack's mind raced. The smell of fried food and the sound of laughter greeted them as they entered the diner. The warmth wrapped around him, though the heat of his internal conflict remained. He slid into a booth, Daniel across from him and Rachel next to him, still tense. Okay, Daniel began, leaning in. I know things got messy when you left. I knew you were struggling, but I didn't understand the depth of it. We all felt abandoned. But I'm here now because of Lily. She deserves to know who you are. Jack clenched his fists on the table, the pain of the past clawing at him. I'm trying to be that father she needs. But I'm lost. It's like I'm running through a haze, and every step I take just leads me back to where I started. Rachel's eyes softened, a spark of compassion breaking through her earlier anger. You can't change the past, Jack. But you can change now. Start with small things. Be consistent. Be present. Daniel nodded in agreement. Exactly. Reach out to her. Show her you're here to stay. It's not just about battling your demons. It's about being there for her. Jack felt a flicker of hope, a way forward illuminated. But shadows still clung to the edges of his thoughts, doubts entwined with the promises he wanted to make. What if I fail? What if I can't do it? Rachel leaned closer, her warmth radiating through the space between them. You can't live in what-ifs. You have to commit, Jack. And that means trusting yourself too. Lily believes in you. Daniel added, his eyes earnest. But you need to believe in yourself first. Jack inhaled deeply, weighing their words like bricks on his chest. Maybe it was time to confront his past, to not only face what had hurt him but to dive into everything that could heal. I'll try. I won't give up. As they talked late into the night, Jack felt a sense of weight lifting. The path ahead would be challenging, riddled with memories and regrets. But he knew he had to move forward, not just for himself, but for Lily. But as the diner emptied out, and the jukebox played a haunting melody, the new shadow lurked, tapping at the edges of his mind. Would the past allow him to welcome a future? Or would it rise up again to claim him when he least expected it? The answer loomed large, ready to surface when he least expected. Jack stirred in the booth, the weight of Daniel's words echoing in his mind like the diner's old jukebox tunes. The comforting clatter of dishes and the chatter of late-night patrons faded into the background. He couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away from him. He glanced at Rachel, who was now silently watching him, her expression a mix of hope and concern. Why don't we start by reaching out to her now? We can plan a visit, Daniel suggested, his tone encouraging yet tinged with urgency. Maybe you can do something simple, a picnic at the park? Kids love that. Jack winced at the suggestion. How could he just walk back into Lily's life as if nothing had happened? It feels too big right now, he confessed, the words tearing at his throat. He stared down at the vinyl table, tracing the lines with his fingers. What if she doesn't want to see me? That fear is part of it, Rachel replied, her voice steady. You have to face it, Jack. She needs a father. Her gaze held him, fierce but filled with a tenderness that caught him off guard. Rachel's right, Daniel added. It's not about what you think she needs, it's about being brave enough to be there, even just a little at a time. The weight of their expectations settled on his shoulders, heavier than he anticipated. He had already taken their validation for granted, but this was different. Jack didn't want to repeat past mistakes. Hours ago, he'd felt confined by regrets, yet now he tasted a subtle sweetness of possibility, sparking a small flame of determination within him. Okay, he finally said, his voice firmer than he felt. I'll call her tomorrow. Encourage her to meet me. The words tasted like freedom, and at the same time, they coiled around him with the threat of failure. Good, Daniel nodded, his face softening into a smile. You won't regret it, Jack. The conversation meandered into lighter topics, the laughter twinkling around them like the soft glow of the diner's neon lights. But something was changing within Jack as he laughed, a flicker of clarity amidst the chaos. He realized the urgency of connection not just with Lily, but with Rachel and Daniel as well. They had both stuck by him in moments he deemed unworthy of hope. As the last of the patrons trickled out, the sounds of the diner grew softer, the staff started cleaning up. Jack felt a swift pang of reality settle into the pit of his stomach. All the encouraging words in the world wouldn't erase the years of absence he had to account for. What if she doesn't forgive me? He whispered, the shadows creeping back into his mind, wrapping around his thoughts like a cold fog. Rachel reached for his hand, grasping it tightly. Everyone makes mistakes, Jack. What matters is how you choose to move from here. You need to ask for forgiveness but also to give yourself grace. Her eyes sparkled with conviction, urging him on. Jack squeezed her hand back, feeling an unexpected surge of warmth spread through him. He wasn't alone in this. He had people around him that believed in him even amidst his numbness, he could feel. Just then, the diner door swung open, and during the late-night quiet, a figure stepped inside. It was a familiar face, one from his past. For a moment, time seemed to freeze, and Jack's heart raced as he recognized the person Lisa, her expression a mix of surprise and uncertainty. Instantly, the atmosphere shifted again, tension crackling in the air like a storm about to break. What did she want? And how would that change everything he'd just embraced? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he realized he'd have to face yet another storm, one he hadn't seen coming. Would this encounter further unravel him or be the push he needed to truly change? Jack's breath quickened as Lisa stepped further into the diner, her face lit by the dim lights flickering overhead. Memories rushed back, those wild high school days, the innocence of friendship, and the weight of unresolved feelings. It felt like a cruel twist of fate to have her standing there now, just as he was trying to piece his life back together. "Jack?" she said softly, disbelief in her eyes. "Is that really you?" "Yeah, it's me," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. Tension rippled through the air, and he felt Rachel's grip tighten on his hand, a silent reminder that he was not alone. "What are you doing back?" Lisa asked, her gaze shifting between him and Rachel, uncertainty mingling with curiosity. "I'm trying to reconnect with my daughter," Jack replied, his heart swelling with purpose. "I haven't been around for years, but I want to change that." Lisa's expression softened. That's great. I heard about everything." Her voice drifted, as if grappling with how to express her emotions. "I can't imagine how hard this must be for you." "It's a work in progress," Jack said, feeling vulnerability wash over him. The walls he'd built around his heart felt a little less imposing when Lisa's kindness enveloped him. "I want to be present." He hesitated, glancing at Rachel beside him, grounding himself. "I just hope she'll give me another chance." "Kids are more resilient than we think," Lisa replied with a nod, a flicker of hope dancing in her eyes. "It might not be easy, but you have to keep trying." Rachel's fingers intertwined with Jack's, a reassurance he desperately needed. "I've heard that before," she said, her voice steady. "He's prepared to show up this time." Jack met Rachel's gaze, feeling a spark of warmth. He realized he wasn't alone in this journey. Maybe Lisa's unexpected presence was a sign that people could still care, that second chances could exist. "Can I give you a piece of advice?" Lisa offered, her tone earnest. "Don't focus solely on what you missed. Focus on what you can build moving forward." Jack felt a wave of gratitude swell. "That's exactly what I need." Adjusting his focus was a revelation that felt like a bright new path opening up before him. He looked at Rachel and then back at Lisa. "Do you think maybe you could help us?" The request spilled out before he could stop it, but it felt right. "I need all the support I can get. Can you both be there for me? For Lily?" Lisa shared a glance with Rachel, a silent understanding passing between them. "Of course," Lisa replied, her smile radiant. "We're all in this together, aren't we?" Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. This one fleeting moment of clarity felt monumental. He could lean on someone else. Perhaps, together, they could navigate the intricacies of healing a broken family. Rachel squeezed his hand again, this time with warmth and assurance. "We don't have to do this alone. We can build each step, together." Heart swelling, Jack gazed into the faces surrounding him, friends who understood the fragility of love, trust, and the messy, beautiful process of healing. It wasn't just about overcoming the past, it was a community effort, and he felt the spirit of unity lifting him. "Thanks, guys. I appreciate both of you," Jack said, feeling genuine hope for the first time in years. But as they shared light moments, laughter, and reflections, a thought echoed at the back of Jack's mind: tomorrow was a new day, filled with its own challenges. He understood he was still on the path of discovery, but for the first time, he felt empowered instead of scared. As they left the diner that night, the familiar chatter and laughter wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Jack breathed deeply, the weight easing from his tired limbs. The ghosts of his past were still there, but they no longer had a hold over him. "Tomorrow, I'll call Lily," he said with a quiet resolve, knowing it would be the first step to rebuilding their lives. "That's the spirit," Lisa replied, her smile inviting. Jack felt the warmth of camaraderie fuel his determination. He had the chance to rewrite his story, to revel in the light that had emerged through the shadows. With Rachel and Lisa by his side, he knew he could become the dad Lily deserved. As they walked into the night, Jack embraced the future, uncertain, yes, but filled with the promise of love, healing, and connection. And it was only just beginning. Now, more than ever, it's time to act. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you won't miss the next inspiring stories that uplift and transform lives. Leave a like instantly to feed the algorithm and keep the positivity flowing. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending because your voice matters. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. True fans show their support. Let us keep this community growing.